our segment, traffic stops. Hearing a siren or having flashing lights in your rearview mirror, that's stressful. Being prepared will only minimize that stress for you, though. So we have our legal contributor, Craig Wisnam, and joining us now and basically know the basics. Let's start with insurance, right?
Exactly. None of this is probably going to be news to people,
Right.
but if you can think about it and spend a few minutes preparing when things are
Like
calm.
the Boy Scouts,
yes,
just be prepared.
It'll be much easier. At least if you see those flashing lights and the police officer pulls you over. I know, I mean, it's natural tendency. I'm always thinking, have I done something? What have I done?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
And so being prepared and thinking, how am I going to respond? What do I need to provide to them? It'll make things much easier if that happens and put you in the best possible position with that officer.
So how many times have we heard, can I see your license and registration?
Exactly. And exactly. And on top of that, though, you mentioned the insurance, and that's another thing and probably one of the most important things. Not only do you have to have your car insured under Arizona law, but you are required to carry that proof of insurance with you at all time. The law requires the insurance company provides you with at least 2 cards when you get your insurance. And so, of course, it's a good idea to keep one with you at all times in your wallet and have one in a place in your car where you know where it is.
Even if you're renting a car.
Exactly.
Take it with you.
You'll have the one in your wallet.
And the fine is pretty hefty.
The fine is very hefty. It starts at about $500 and it increases based on the number of times it happens to you within a certain period.
Wow.
But you normally can get that rescinded if you go back into the court and show proof that you were insured at the time it happened. But why not avoid that and keep that card with you?
Exactly. And then vehicle registration, again, keep it handy. Exactly.
You're supposed to keep the current vehicle registration. And if you're like me, you're kind of thinking, I know the car's registered, I know my wife's paid for the insurance, it's in here somewhere.
But don't assume that you have it on the ready.
Don't assume on that. And if you're, again, those 6 months goes by pretty quickly, so you're thinking, well, no, that card expired, this registration expired. Have the current ones front and center in the manual or someplace else where you know where they are.
What about with alcohol impairment? You get pulled over, you just assume if you're driving, then you consent, right?
Well, there's this law about implied consent, and this is not I'm not an expert in this, and there's plenty of people that are, but the idea is that when you drive on the road, you are consenting that if the police pull you over and there's something suspicious where they think alcohol or drugs are involved, you're consenting to a test of either your blood, your breath, or your urine to determine the blood alcohol content.
Okay, and refusal?
And refusal, if you refuse, whatever goes on in terms of the criminal case with your possible DUI, but your license automatically gets suspended. And that's true even if you maybe weren't drinking, maybe you weren't driving, they can't prove anything at all. But just by refusing to give the test at the time, your license gets suspended.
And real quick, want to mention about concealed weapons. You need to be right out there in front with it.
Exactly. Nothing is going to make an officer more upset or concerned with you to find out there's a gun or something in the car that you haven't disclosed. If you've got a concealed license, a concealed weapons permit, normally the easiest thing is to give the officer that with the license. They ask you a question, you're able to answer it.
Keep your hands up.
Exactly. No sudden movements. And you know, one thing to also keep in mind is the policeman's perspective or the policewoman's perspective.
They're nervous.
They just never know what's going on, and you might know you're just shuffling around looking for an insurance card when they come to the window, but they don't know that you're not pulling a gun or a knife or hiding something.
Exactly. Use your noggin.
Make it easy. Yes.
Thanks, Craig. Okay. Even though